So, what's up in the sky for this first Thursday in the month of July? According to earthsky.org, we can see the moon closest to Saturn. The very bright waxing gibbous moon is going to erase many stars from the slate of night. So the question is posed, will you see the planet Saturn just south of tonight's moon? Probably, if you look, and if clouds don't hide them. Here's a clever suggestion from Bruce McClure, who writes this. Try covering the moon with your finger to gaze at nearby Saturn. Although the supergiant red Antares is not bright as Saturn, it might be easier to see since it's farther from the moon's glare. At UFOheadlinenews.com later, you can find links below to charts that will tell you lots more about those two celestial lights in the moon's vicinity tonight. That would be Antares and Saturn. Saturn is the sixth planet out from the sun. It's the farthest world you can easily see with your unaided eye. It's 10 astronomical units from the sun. In other words, 10 times the Earth-Sun distance. And right now, it's about 9. Again, here at Inception Radio Network UFO Headline News, we offer our promise never to spring any kind of tests or pop quizzes, but FYI, 1 astronomical unit from Earth equals about 93 million miles, or 150 million kilometers. Saturn's often called the jewel of the solar system because of its gorgeous ring system. Saturn's rings are enormously expansive and wide, but they're extremely thin. The main rings extend nearly as far as the moon's distance from Earth, yet they're only about 1 kilometer thick. With even a modest telescope, you should be able to see Saturn's rings easily for the whole month of July this year. They're inclined at nearly 27 degrees from edge on. Saturn, the second largest planet after Jupiter, has a diameter that's a good 9 times greater than Earth's. Like Jupiter, Saturn is a gas giant world composed of mainly hydrogen and helium. Unlike those inner rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, Saturn and Jupiter have no solid surfaces on which to stand. Ponder that. Antares is the brightest star in the constellation Scorpius the Scorpion. It's a red supergiant star. In fact, this star dwarfs the sun to almost nothingness. Something else to ponder. While the volume of the sun is approximately 1.3 million times that of our planet Earth, Antares has a volume of hundreds of millions of suns. As Bruce McClure puts it, if by some bit of magic Antares were suddenly substituted for our sun, the surface of the star would extend well past the orbit of Mars. Antares is classified as an M1 supergiant star. That M1 designation means that Antares is reddish in color and cooler than many other stars. Its surface temperature, about 3,500 kelvins, that's almost 5,800 degrees Fahrenheit, is in contrast to about 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit for our sun. Even though Antares' surface temperature is relatively low, Antares' tremendous surface area, the surface from which light can escape, makes this star very bright. In fact, Antares approaches 11,000 times the brilliance of our puny sun, which is, by the way, a G2 star. But that's just in terms of visible light. When all wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation are considered, Antares pumps out more than 60,000 times the energy of our sun. Thank you very much. So here's the bottom line. Take a look at the moon on July 6th, 2017, and you'll likely notice 2 nearby objects. The closer object to tonight's moon, the planet Saturn. The other side, the star Antares. Enjoy. Here's something else to enjoy, gentle listeners. This just in via one of our station owners and producer, Joe Champion, a.k.a. the man who never sleeps. IRN, Inception Radio Network, is now a presence on iHeartRadio. Yup, that's IHEART radio, or just that icon in the middle, the big red heart, iHeartRadio. Yet another way to listen to all the fine programming that is part and parcel of Inception Radio Network, voice of the fringe majority. Here's another article from earthsky.org. We picked this up from their space department. It's about Juno, that Juno probe, and its next task. Juno says the Juno spacecraft, which as of today has been in orbit around the giant planet Jupiter for 1 year, will fly directly over Jupiter's famous Great Red Spot on July 10th, 2017, probing for the spot's roots in the depths of the planet's cloud layers. It'll be part of something called Perijove 7. Let's spell that Perijove 7. One of Juno's periodic science flybys over Jupiter in the course of the spacecraft's highly elliptical orbit. The red spot, it's a 10,000-mile wide, 16,000-kilometer wide storm on Jupiter. It's 2 to 3 times the size of our entire planet Earth. About 11 Earths, in fact, could fit side by side in front of Jupiter itself. Scott Bolton, principal investigator of Juno for the Southwest Research Institute in San Antonio, Texas, said, quote, "Jupiter's mysterious Great Red Spot is probably the best-known feature of Jupiter. This monumental storm has raged on the solar system's biggest planet for centuries. Now, Juno and her cloud-penetrating science instruments will dive in to see how deep the roots of this storm go and help us understand how this giant storm works and what makes it so special." End quotes. Juno's highly elliptical orbit is designed to avoid damage from Jupiter's hazardous radiation belts and simultaneously bring it closer to Jupiter than any other previous spacecraft. Perijove, and that's the point at which an orbit comes closest to Jupiter's center, will be on Monday, July 10th at 6:55 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That's 9:55 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At the time of Perijove, Juno will be about 2,200 miles or 3,500 kilometers above the planet's cloud tops. And then 11 minutes and 33 seconds later, Jupiter will have covered another 24,713 miles, 39,771 kilometers, and will be directly above that coiling crimson cloud top of Jupiter's Great Red Spot. The spacecraft will pass about 5,600 miles, 9,000 kilometers above the giant red spot clouds. Juno has 8 spacecraft instruments on board, as well as its imager called JunoCam. They'll all be on during this flyby. Juno launched August 5th, 2011 from Cape Canaveral, Florida. Its mission to probe beneath Jupiter's cloud cover to study its auroras, with the overall goal of learning more about the planet's origins, structure, atmosphere, and magnetosphere. And of course, we're waiting for those images. Expect new Jupiter red spot images in the days following July 10th. And right here at UFO Headline News on Inception Radio Network, we will keep you in the loop. And it's time to loop on over to UFOstalker.com for an assortment of UFO sightings. There's an interesting one that comes out of Denver, Colorado. There's the sighting itself and then a comment posted after the sighting in that section we continue to remind you about, gentle listeners, at UFOstalker.com. You can leave help with somebody's sighting or you can report your own. And here's the case. It's MUFON number 84833. The date of the sighting is July 4th, 2017. It was reported July 5th, 2017. In summary, the witness describes this object as 4 teardrop objects moving in a circle. Under the categories that include sighting specifics, our witness lists a viewing distance over 1 mile, an altitude over 500 feet, no cloud cover. The sighting duration was 2 minutes. The object features unknown. Its flight path with directional change. And the shapes involved in this event are described as teardrop. There isn't any weather with this sighting. Here's the sighting itself. Yes, we preface it with, it was the 4th of July. However, here's the event. My wife and I were viewing fireworks over the Denver metropolitan area, as we have done for over 40 years at this location. My wife and I saw 4 teardrop objects moving in what appeared to be an oval shape. The objects looked to be far to the east of Denver, thus 20 to 30 miles away. They appeared one by one until all 4 were visible. They seemed to turn and move in an oval path. At times, 1 or 2 of them would disappear and then reappear. They were far above any of the fireworks we saw, and they did not appear to behave like any fireworks I've ever seen, and that's why they caught our attention. I have viewed many aircraft at this very location for over 40 years. They stayed at about the same level in the sky, these things, as they moved. After a couple of minutes, they disappeared, one at a time. We could not see any sign of smoke or exhaust near the objects. The 4 seemed to move in some loose formation as they went in that oval. We were looking east-northeast from Green Mountain across the city of Denver. Our location here, our elevation is 6,000 feet, so we can see across Denver to slightly beyond Denver International Airport. These objects looked to be somewhere between downtown Denver and the horizon. They were much bigger than any aircraft I've seen in that direction. Airplanes and helicopter lights are much smaller than these objects. Compared to aircraft that we've seen at that distance, these objects moved faster. I wrote up my notes on the event right after the objects disappeared. This event ended so quickly, I did not have a chance to view it with binoculars or attempt to take a telephoto picture. Yes, that seems to be part of this particular set of incidents where things happen so quickly one just sort of freezes and watches and thinks. Now, here is something posted at the end of this sighting at UFOstalker.com. It's submitted by somebody called EMI, and here it goes. We thought we were seeing things. We live against South Table Mountain, and we watched these things move in from the northeast. At first, we thought they were planes getting in line to land at Denver International Airport. They moved west from DIA, then curved south to hover over Denver. They were bright in the sky. The crafts were illuminated. Helicopters have lights, and these did not, even though they were bright. We watched as they spiraled, blinked out, and then blinked back on. They moved smoothly, almost like drones. When they were flying south, they were in a tight formation that loosened up once they got over the city of Denver. We filmed them for 2 minutes over Denver. Wish we'd started filming when we first noticed them north of Denver International Airport. We've heard they could have been parachuters, hang gliders, but their distance from the mountains and their closeness to Denver, and the fact that these crafts were perfectly lit, white, it just doesn't make sense. We've also heard they could be drones. They were way too big, however, in our minds to be drones. And drones aren't usually bigger than, say, a dog, and they're not allowed over Denver International Airport. If these were drones, we're talking secret military style. In spite of this second witness from the Denver area's mention of filming for 2 minutes over Denver, there isn't any link to film footage submitted. We'll keep our eyes on that. But there is something to look at with this case, which undeniably is connected to the previous 2. You'll find video later at UFOheadlinenews.com. It's MUFON case number 84837. The setting of this sighting is Arvada, Colorado. The sighting date is the 4th of July, 2017, and it got a next day report. The summary says, 4 orbs in sky over Denver. That's beginning to sound familiar. The sighting specifics: a viewing distance close, 501 feet, eventually 1 mile, an altitude unknown. The sighting duration is 4 minutes. The object features unknown. The flight path, hovering, then path, and these objects are described as having been shaped like spheres. It's a short report. The video footage is absolutely astonishing.
At Metro PCS, we let the numbers do the talking. 4. Enjoy a reliable 4G LTE network that's faster than Sprint. 2. Get 2 free smartphones when you switch to Metro PCS. 99. The percentage of people in the U.S. covered by Metro PCS. Get 2 free Samsung Galaxy J3 Prime smartphones when you switch. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out. Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network are active on Metro PCS in past 90 days. Coverage claim based on talk text coverage. Speed claim from downloads. See store for details, terms, and conditions.
We have no idea what we're looking at here. There are 4 objects. They don't seem to morph. They change direction, and they seem somehow connected but not attached. If it's a hoax, well, we're not experts. Head on over later to UFOheadlinenews.com and do your own analysis. Here's the account from the witness, first person. We were watching fireworks and then saw 4 hovering orbs. About 30 to 45 seconds after seeing them, I was able to get my camera out and record. The orbs stayed in one spot for several seconds. Then they'd come together as one and then separate. They formed a Y shape and then a line before they disappeared one at a time. These were not fireworks as they stayed in the sky for at least 2 minutes. My video is 1 minute and 49 seconds long, and it was at least 30 to 45 seconds, if not longer, before I realized what was happening and even began to record on my phone. This is fascinating footage. It's sort of reminiscent to this broadcaster of that amazing, iconic scene in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, as a matter of fact, where everyone is sitting kind of camped out on that hillside, waiting for the UFO contact. In this case, our witness sort of narrates what she's filming, and she remarks that other people are also getting footage of this. It's going to be interesting to see how this rolls out. You can also see the fireworks much lower to the horizon. Hard to imagine these could be fireworks. So, eyes to those Colorado skies, everybody. What say we wing our way to Kansas City, Missouri now for a black triangle sighting? MUFON case number 84796. This took place June 20th, but nobody reported it till the 3rd of July this year. In summary, triangular lights spotted over downtown Kansas City. It's a different shape, but another downtown. Interesting. There are photos submitted with this account. The sighting specifics: viewing distance over 1 mile, altitude over 500 feet, under cloud cover. The object features: unknown. Its flight path: stationary and then unknown. And of course it was shaped like a triangle. The maximum temperature at the time of this sighting was rather warm, 91 degrees Fahrenheit in Kansas City, Missouri, 33 degrees Celsius. The minimum temperature, 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 21 degrees Celsius. All the visibility factors, the standard, maximum, mean, and minimum, were 10 miles, 16 kilometers. And at the time of this event, there didn't seem to be anything abnormal about the weather. Here's what happened. I live in Kansas City, and while I was with a few of my friends at this spot that overlooks the city, I took a picture on Snapchat. I swiped right a couple of times to find the right filter, posted it, and kind of forgot about it. That is, until I looked at the picture again in the morning and noticed something I hadn't seen before. In the middle left, just above the city, you can see 3 faint lights in the shape of a triangle. I'm 100% positive these were not stars or a plane or anything like that. We didn't even see the lights with our naked eyes. There's proof it's not just a filter or a smudge or anything, because you can see a plane in the upper right corner of the picture. I decided to put this picture through a few other filters on an app on my desktop, and I could make out a kind of rim that was connecting these lights. Although I'm not very proficient at photo editing, what do you think? Our witness asks. I'm pretty spooked myself. Maybe somebody who's more photographically proficient could give it a crack and see if they can find something more. I've attached the night picture that the object can be seen in, as well as a daytime picture of the spot we were during the event. They're very interesting shots, and you know where to check them out, gentle listeners, at ufoheadlinenews.com. Our trajectory takes us next to the state of Pennsylvania, the city of Harleysville. Oh, well, we're picturing everybody riding Harleys, but that's another story. It's the setting for MUFON case number 84773. The date of this sighting was July 2nd, 2017. It was submitted July 3rd, 2017. Here's what our witness offers in summary. Leaving our car... Well, there you see, there goes that stereotype of the bike. Leaving our car to go into the house, we saw 4 stationary red lights, half-circle, arc shape, in the sky across the street. There's a photo submitted with this account. The sighting specifics also submitted indicate a viewing distance unknown, an altitude also unknown. The sighting duration was 15 minutes, object features unknown. The flight path was other, and this object was shaped like a circle. There isn't any weather. Let's proceed to the sighting. My husband and I had just come back home. We were getting out of our car after having gone to see a fireworks display with our child. We left early because our child was frightened of those booming sounds. We had just gotten out of the car. I was unbuckling the back seat belt when I noticed what looked like a half circle of bright red lights in the sky. Since we'd just been at a fireworks display, I was thinking this could be a neighbor who'd purchased some sort of new firework, but these lights just stayed motionless in one spot. My husband and I then noticed the lights were slowly moving in unison in a circle to the left, very slowly. After a few minutes, each one seemed to diminish or pull back, and at that point, I was thinking this must be some type of flare. Finally, only one light remained visible, and my husband tried to take a phone video. He said it was too far away, though, and it just looked like a tiny dot on the screen. After this, the remaining light moved slowly to the left in a straight line, and it seemed to fade like the other lights had. My husband sent the video to our email. I was surprised and very upset to see that 3 lights are still visible on it, even though we both only observed one light at the time he was filming, and the lights also appear white on the video. The lights we were looking at were very bright red. They didn't blink at all, they just were a constant red color. I also noticed some tiny flashes of light near the larger lights when I look at the video, and I did not see or notice those at the time we took the video. I'm trying to find out what this might have been. I'm more skeptical than anything else. I just can't figure out what we were looking at tonight. Fascinating sighting. They didn't get the video, but there is just that one shot, photographic evidence of some sort. Oh, we've got evidence that our time is up here for today at UFO Headline News. Time to take off because that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Inception Radio Network, and now you can hear us on iHeartRadio. Take care of each other. We're all in this together. This is Carol Carl. See you tomorrow.